The next model we're going to look at now is called SPACE. This one's coming from cognitive behavioural coaching, and it's about changing behaviour. So we would use it to help somebody understand, dig deeply into what behaviour they're experiencing and work out how to make a change around it. So this is from 2013. It comes from Beck and Ellis. And the idea is, it's another acronym. So SPACE: situation, physicality, action, cognition, and emotions. So we'll go through those one by one. So first of all, the situation. Where, when, with whom, where are you, what's going on when this particular situation occurs or this particular struggle occurs for you. What is happening for you at that particular moment in time? Where are you? Who's there? And then we work through the other parts of the diagram, starting usually with the P, so situation, physiology, but it really doesn't matter where you start. When you ask the client to start to tell you about the situation, they'll usually lead you somewhere into the elements of the model without you worrying too much about which order to do things in. So follow the flow of the client with this process, okay? You can go in any direction, it doesn't matter. But just for the ease of the explanation, I'll start with P. So situation, then physiology. How does that feel in your body? What happens to you? So what is going on? So say the example might be, situation is, I get very nervous about presenting in front of an audience. Okay, so that's the situation. It happens whenever there's an audience of more than 10 people. I'm making it up, and my physiology is that I get very nervous. I can feel my heart racing. I might break into a sweat. I get very kind of full of palpitations, and I feel very, very nervous and lots of adrenaline running around my physical system. Okay, so we might just take some notes around what the physiology is. That's what it feels like in my body. And then the action, what actually happens? So using that same example about presenting, the action might be, well, actually, I can't speak very clearly. I start stammering. I get all caught up with my words. I lose my clarity. And the action is that basically I stand there on the stage and I feel, I look like I can't start my presentation. Which leads us on to the cognition. So cognition in the broadest sense around thoughts, feelings and experiences. The cognitions that I might be having, what's running through my mind as that's happening is, oh my gosh, I'm not starting to talk. My words have run dry. I don't know what to say. I've lost my clarity. I feel all cloudy. People will be thinking that I'm stupid, that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm never going to be able to start my presentation. All those thoughts are just running through your mind really, really fast in the background. So when we capture them and we can articulate them clearly, it's easier to see what's really going on. So first of all, just map that out, write that down with the client. And then the last piece of the model is about emotions. So what are the emotions that are coming up for you? Well, at the point where I've run dry of words in my presentation and I'm stood on stage feeling pretty scared, actually what comes up for me is that I feel scared and I feel sad and I feel embarrassed and humiliated and full of shame, and all of these things are bubbling up in me really, really quickly. And so what does that lead to? Well, that drives the physiology. So my physiology then, my heart rate goes faster, I breathe more shallowly, I can't think, and it just gets worse and worse. And I go round and round this cycle of things clamming up and not being able to articulate what I want to say in my presentation. So what we can do from the coaching point of view is to just sort of map out all of those different things. And by getting some differentiation there, pulling it apart and putting it out on a kind of on a piece of paper, we're able to just slow down and analyse, well, what is going on? What actually is happening there? And what could we do? What's the opportunity to do something different here? So for example, here we might look at the whole picture and say to the client, what really stands out for you here? What are the big hot spots, the big bits that we think are really important for us to look at? And the client will usually lead the way and just go, well, I think it's really about this thing. It's like it all starts with whatever it might be. So in our example, it all starts with me breathing really shallowly. Okay, so there's the opportunity for change, right? So what's the way that you could help yourself to breathe more slowly in order to bring back online all of that good thinking, all of that clarity, all of that readiness to speak, so that we're not all up here and our bodies are all dysregulated. So it's what we're doing is we're just trying to get the client to help us to sort of identify what could we change? What actually is going on here? We could ask questions like, what are the assumptions you're making? What evidence do you have that you're going to clam up? Has this happened 100 times before? Or is it just the fear that it might happen rather than actually it happens every time I make this kind of presentation? So just try and unpick it with them, see if you can get some kind of clarity about what's really going on, and look for the opportunity to help the client identify something that they can change. So instead of this kind of spiral of nervousness that stops me from being able to speak and present, what about instead looking at, how do I keep myself calm, ground myself down, try and make sure that I'm breathing really well, and make sure that I'm able to think clearly. What could I do that would help me do those things? So we're just helping the client to make that shift for themselves.